G'day everyone and welcome to Chris Rankin's Music Crush. Just a bit of a listening video, what I've been listening to lately. A little bit mellower for this video, I think, not quite as brutal and heavy as I quite often show. As you can see, I'm getting ready for football season. My number one love, of course, is the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. So I'm all ready to go, looking forward to it, like a week and a half away. But yeah, been on some kicks lately, as I spoke about. Still on an Anvil kick. I've been on a really long Fleetwood Mac kick for a while. I mean, I've always loved this band. I've seen them twice. I saw them in 1990 at the Perth Entertainment Centre and 2004. That was at, now where was it? Oh, that was at the Wacker, like a big open cricket sports ground in Perth. Both phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, been on a big Fleetwood Mac kick for about 2 or 3 months now, and all eras too, not just the one particular era. So I've got some things to show. New releases that I love that came out on Friday: the new Hooded Menace album, the Tritonus Bell, will easily finish very high up on my end of year list. Just incredible. Death Doom metal band from Finland, and this is one of their best, and it's one of the best Death Doom metal albums that's just going around. It is incredible. Just so many riffs. Yes, it's got the slow down Death Doom metal, but the riffs are so good. The songwriting is so good. The new Leprous album, fantastic progressive rock, progressive metal band, Leprous, from Norway, from memory. I got that right? Is it Norway or Finland? I don't know. I've got Finland and Norway in my mind. I'm pretty sure from memory they're from Norway. This might be one of the best albums that Leprous have done. Really, really, really good. Amazing stuff. Amazing band. Leprous are kind of like Riverside, if you know them, sort of modern progressive rock, progressive metal, fantastic. Our Place of Worship is Silence. Their brand new album is just an album of pure darkness, suffocating, blackened death metal that just quells all chance of any light, of anything that's bubbly and nice. It's just magnificent. The band obviously has pure hatred towards humanity. They really do, and it comes out in the album. But if you like that, and I do love the extreme metal, as you know, this is just, man, it's just perfect for that. So the name of the band is called Our Place of Worship is Silence. I can't quite remember the album title offhand, but it is a absolute beauty. A funeral doom band down here in Australia, but over on the other side, over in New South Wales, a suburb of Sydney, a band called The Slow Death. They've just put out their brand new album called Siege. Brilliant stuff. If you love funeral doom, if you like things like Ahab and so forth, just really good. Epic, sort of quite long and drawn out. And to give you a bit of an idea, so this is their 4th album. This is their shortest album they've ever done, and it's 63 minutes. So that'll tell you that their albums are quite long. They generally only have about 4 or 5 songs on each album. This album only has 4 songs. But just so well done. The songwriting is so good. I know you shouldn't use too many so's when you're describing something, but yeah, it just really is a fantastic album. Brand new Jinjer album, really good. Really enjoyed that. Phinehas or Phinehas, Phinehas is the name of the band. Sort of a mix between thrash and melodic death metal, but really it's a metalcore album. And I know some people are instantly turned off when you use the subgenre of metalcore, but don't let that put you off at all if you are normally put off by hearing that subgenre, because it's a brilliant album. very addictive, very catchy, an album that you just want to play quite a lot. Yeah, you know what? This week, it wasn't like 20 albums that I loved necessarily, but there's about 10 or 11, 12 albums that felt like almost every single ones that I love, I'm probably going to see at the end of the year list. Just absolutely phenomenal stuff. Just top quality all the way through. Pretty much every album that I love. There's obviously stinkers I didn't like this week, but of the ones I love, they didn't just make it. They really hammered it, you know. So yeah, it's been a great week. But the new Hooded Menace album, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Oh, and one I nearly forgot. The very quirky and weird and interesting black metal band out of California called Old Nick that do some really weird albums. They also combine like dungeon synth in with their black metal as well. They've got another new album. They already had one album out around March, I think it was, from memory. And they've got another new album out called Iam Vampire Castle. Just brilliant. Black metal, it's raw, it's weird. There's dungeon synth, there's cabaret sounds in there, there's polka, it's avant-garde, it's weird, it's interesting. And you know what? With the billions of black metal bands that are out there, and I love black metal, but there are billions of black metal bands out there, it's really good to have a band that's doing something very different. Whether you like them or hate them, and I love them, but whether you like them or hate them, you got to give it to them that they're doing something that's just completely different and changing it up. So that's Old Nick. So yeah, really great week. But I'll show you what I've been listening to. Nothing new this week. I've got quite a lot of things on order. I showed you last week what I picked up at the vinyl fair. I haven't really been record shopping lately, but yeah. So first up, I said I've been on a bit of a Fleetwood Mac kick lately. Maybe one day I'll do a Fleetwood Mac video, although I don't feel like I want to because there's not a lot of gaps missing, but enough gaps in my collection that I would feel a bit silly doing a Fleetwood Mac collection. I would say that I probably have 70% of their albums. I don't have anything after Tango in the Night. Yeah, and I'm just trying to think. I don't want to make this too long. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything from the 60s, 70s. I can't remember right now. Anyway, I'm taking too long. So this is what Mr. Wonderful. That's probably about the only one that I'm missing of all the 70s, like 60s, 70s albums. But anyway, I've been listening to this. Wow, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. My favourite of the Peter Green area. And this is, of course, with Danny Kirwan or Kerwin. I think it's Danny Kirwan on here. I think of all the great members of Fleetwood Mac that are celebrated, I think he's one of the most underrated members of Fleetwood Mac. And his guitar on here, I mean, him and Peter Green together on guitar are great, but his guitar on here, and there's slide guitar all throughout this album, which I absolutely love. I'm a real sucker for slide guitar, and good slide guitar, not just sort of slide guitar that you've heard a million times. Really, really good stuff. It's kind of heavy, not in a metal way in any way, but sort of heavy blues, very guitar-based album. I love this album. I can just put this on and play it all the way through. This is a reissue that I can't quite remember. Not that long ago. Not that long ago at all. I was very familiar with this album. Then when I saw this reissue came out, I grabbed it straight away. I'm pretty sure I got this at the start of last year, maybe. It's a bit of a blur. Maybe I got it at the start of this year. I can't remember now. But so good. I love this. I'm pretty sure it was the start of this year, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's too long ago. If it was the start of last year, that's too long ago. But brilliant album. I can't rave about this enough. So this is their third album. Let me just show you the gatefold again. Only thing I'll say with the reissue, pretty sort of standard. That there was no inner, there's no lyrics in there. And even you get the band shot there, but there's no description of the band, what anyone did, so you still have to look everything up. It's got all the song listing, and I believe, because of course this album has lots of different versions of the song listing, and I believe this one is the original UK song listing on this album. I think there's like, I was looking through before, I think there's like about 5 or 6 different versions, maybe even more, of different song titles and so forth. But my favourite songs on here, of course, you've got the sort of two-parter, unofficial two-parter of Fighting for Madge and Searching for Madge. So good, really good. Favourite song for sure on here is Showbiz Blues, the slide guitar, just a really good bluesy slide guitar song. I'm just a sucker for that. I love it so much. Underway is brilliant. One Sunny Day is brilliant. Rattlesnake Shake, it's not the Motley Crue one, don't worry about that. It's really, really good. Love it. Yeah, I mean, there's no songs on here that I don't like. There's no even a song where I go, oh, I hope it hurries up and gets through that. Just loving it all. Loving it all. Coming Your Way is so good. Just really good. Yeah, as I say, not the cheapest reissue I've ever bought. I think it was about, and remembering this is in Australia, we pay a lot for records. When I say brand new records that are in shrink and that are sort of newish, either reissue or newish records, pretty average that we pay about $40, and that's if you're buying them straight from a shop. And then if you start adding postage on it, it's a lot more. But if you go into a standard record store or a chain music store and you buy a record off the shelf, it's usually going to be between $40 and $60 brand new. If it's a really brand new album by like a pop star or a big act that's come out and it's on vinyl, you're regularly going to pay $55 to $60. Things like a Katy Perry album or something like that. Her Smile album that was, I think it was called Smile. I don't have that one. The blue cover, that was $62 straight up at a chain music store on record. So, so this one I paid, I think it was $45. So not too bad, but as I say, for what you're paying for a reissue, it really is just the record in a sleeve inside the gatefold. The gatefold's nice, but I don't feel like they did much with the gatefold, which is a little bit of a shame. It would have been, seeing as it's an era of the band that a lot don't know about, and some of those members aren't celebrated enough, like Danny Keown, I think it would have been nice if there was a little bit about those members in the gatefold or in an insert or something like that. I think that would have been a perfect chance. And also, I think then that would have been a perfect chance to sort of introduce newer Fleetwood Mac members or people that only know about the Buckingham Nicks era, to introduce some of these great musicians that were part of the earlier eras of Fleetwood Mac. Peter Green's a reasonably household name these days, but people like Danny Keown and Bob Welch and I even think, this is a weird thing to say, right? But I even think Christine McVie isn't as household as Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham and Mick Fleetwood. Everyone knows them. But John McVie and Christine McVie, Christine McVie, what a songwriter. Think of all the hits that she's written. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Multi-instrument, does the vocals, does some good back and forth vocals, like opposite Lindsay. It's not always Stevie and Lindsay doing the opposite vocals. Quite often it's Christine. Then she has the background. She has all the different percussion that she does, the caracas, and she does, obviously she's the keyboard player, but she has the accordion as well. I know she's played guitar quite a lot, quite often in different live versions of the band. She's played guitar when needed to, so another person that doesn't get enough. Anyway, I've probably gone on a lot about Fleetwood Mac. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from, but I've just been on this massive Fleetwood Mac kick for about the last 2 or 3 months, so you might see me showing a few more things in later videos of Fleetwood Mac. But yeah, if you don't know this album by then, this is their third album, came out in 1969. Then Play On, it's just a dandy. And it's quite frankly just one of the best sort of California... no, that's wrong. It's a bit early for that sound. More just straight up blues rock, blues albums. It just really is. It's just everything about it. It's just wonderful blues. Forget that it's got Fleetwood Mac on it, because that sort of, it might sort of, I don't know, confuse some people, but it really is. It's just really good at what it does. It's such a highly enjoyable album. Right, so I better move on, because I'll talk about Fleetwood Mac for the whole video, and that's not the purpose. It's to show you what I've been listening. So, also, I want to give a quick shout out to a channel that I've never given a shout out to. I think I've given a shout out to her maybe once or twice. It's all my regulars that I give shout outs to, but a channel that I really enjoy watching. I love her enthusiasm. Her videos are always ultra professional. She puts a lot of time and effort. You can clearly see that she's very professional on her filming and her editing, and just her charisma, and she's got a great taste in music. And I'm talking about the channel Monie Muse. So a big shout out to Monica. If you haven't checked out our channel, I highly recommend it. She talks about all sorts of different music. She quite often does, like, you know, record hunting videos where she goes out and about and hunts for videos. I like her like back of house type sort of videos where she shows the process that she goes through for setting up and shooting and all. And she's really in-depth, so whenever she does anything, she gets a new system or new technical stuff or new equipment, she always shows you doing it. So she really makes you feel like you're her friend, and she's showing you what her latest stuff is that she's got. So yeah, Monie Muse, I'll put a link to her channel in my video just here, so check out her channel. I know she just recently got over 1,000 subscribers, so that's really cool. But yeah, check her out. So Monica at Monie Muse, brilliant channel. Yeah, I've been on an Anvil kick. I mentioned that last time. So this is my favorite Anvil album. For me, perfect blend of the earlier sort of classic Anvil, but with a bit more polish, and I think the songwriting is just really spot on this. Absolutely love this album. 1983, of course, this is their third album. Title track, something about Anvil. Their title tracks are almost always brilliant. If there's a title track on an album of an Anvil album, it's going to be a good one. Winged Assassins is great. Free as the Wind, Future Wars, Make It Up to You, absolutely brilliant. Just, yeah, fantastic album. Just really good, classic sounding heavy metal. You know, not really thrash. I know they did sort of the whole thing of them inspiring Metallica and other thrash, but it's more, for me, it's more classic heavy metal, speed metal sort of thing. And of course that just classic logo of Anvil, and a brilliant album. Yeah, this is my favorite, definitely my favorite Anvil album. And at times I've sort of gone away from this band here and there. Like there was for a while there, I don't know, I didn't do it on purpose. I just thought, I've heard it all before a long time ago. I don't need to hear it again. And I just picked one out of the rack. I thought, you know what, I haven't heard it for a while. And now I've been listening to a lot of them all the way through. Another catalogue that, maybe not quite half of their catalogue. And they've got a lot, haven't they? I think they've got about like 15 or 16 albums, something like that. I probably got a little less than half, I would say, overall. So I'll show you some more as we go on later. Of course, you got the classic, the Metal on Metal, that great cover, the classic title for a heavy metal album. Really good. 666 is probably my favourite Anvil song of all time. It's just heavy, it's brilliant. It finishes this album so well. Title track, once again, another excellent title track of Anvil. I love Mothra, I love Heat Sink, Jackhammer, Tag Team, and yeah, 666. That's probably my favourite Anvil song of all time. A great album, 1980... is it on there? Yes, it is, 1982. I was going to say 1982 anyway. That's their second album. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant album. So, a band that we hadn't heard from for a very, very long time. What have we got? 39 years They hadn't put out an album. And they recently put out an album called Tomorrow Never Comes, which is a brilliant album. And I went back to my rack and I hadn't listened to this record for a while. This is a record that I got when I was pretty young. Not when it came out, but maybe 1 or 2 years after it came out. Because I'd heard, I don't know where, I think it was on Countdown, I heard the song Black Star, which is probably the heaviest song they've ever done. They're more of a hard rock, AOI, progressive rock. Wouldn't use progressive rock as their title, but quite a lot of their songs certainly have prog moments in them. That's for sure. As in the same way that bands like Styx and Queen, you may not call a prog band, but a lot of their songs have prog elements in as such, especially around that time of the mid 70s to 80s. And this band, you know, if I really wanted to compare anything, you would say if you like Queen, if you like Styx, you'll like them. Very melodic. They have 2 vocalists that share it, Craig Brooks and Mark Mangold. Both are brilliant. And they have a very underrated drummer that no one probably even knows or talk about. A guy by the name of Glenn Kithcart. I think that's how you pronounce it. And his drumming is what adds the grunt to their sound. You take that off, and they're very much on the light part of AOR sound. His drumming gives a lot more. Now, I'm not saying they're heavy metal, not at all, but his drumming gives it a more metal sound, that's for sure. And the song that I talked about that I first heard from them called Black Star, that's the most metal song they've ever done. It certainly sounds like, you know, Deep Purple, early Judas Priest, that sort of thing. And it's because of his drumming mostly. It's really good. And I'm talking about the band. I've talked about this a lot without saying the band's name. I'm talking about the band from New York called Touch. And this is the album that I've been listening to a lot. I've had this record for... so it came out in 1980. So I reckon I've had this record for about 39 years, probably. I hadn't played it for so long. And then when the new album came out, I was looking through the albums being released and went, oh, wow, Touch have got a new album out. You know, so they made 2 albums, made this, and then there was another one that came after this that I can't remember what it's called now. It might have even been called Touch 2, because this is Touch. The name of the album is Touch. I've got a feeling that the second one was called Touch 2, which was 1982, and then we heard nothing from them since. And then this year, about 3 or 4 months ago, I even mentioned it in this video, they had a new album out, which I love. It's called Tomorrow Never Comes. Sounds like really good, melodic, hard rock. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and pull it. I keep meaning to go and pull this album out, and I went, yeah, you're planning to do it. I pulled it out, listened, and went, wow, this is still as good as I remember. It is brilliant, and absolutely brilliant. No, this is wrong. I was going to say easy listening hard rock. Not that it's easy listening, but it's a hard rock album that's very easy to listen to. You just put it on and you sing the choruses. The verses are great. There's good vocals. The drumming's great. There's enough crunch in the guitar for a metal guy. It's definitely AOR. There's a lot of AOR in there, but it's not on the lighter side. It's a little bit pomp, but not so much. I mean, some of those outfits there, that might give it away. I mean, not overly. You know, there's still a little bit of jeans and tight t-shirt on them, but this pullover, yeah, lets you know that there's a little bit of AOR, or enough AOR going on there. So really good. 1980 this is. Favourite songs on here are Black Star, obviously, absolute ripper. So if you want to hear one song, you never heard them, and you want to hear one song, listen to Black Star, very good. Yes, You Need to Rock and Roll, another great song. What else have we got? Listen, Can You Feel It? Another brilliant song. My Life Depends on You. Great song. So High is probably the song that's the most prog-like on here and gets really into the sort of Styx, Grand Illusion type sound and feel. And what else we got on here? When the Spirit Moves You, another great song. In fact, there's no real duds on here. actually. Yeah, not really. And even though they're a band that does move in the AOR realm, there's no actual real ballads on here. All the songs are sort of, they're neither, well, Black Star's kind of a bit more quite up tempo, but other than that, they are all sort of mid-paced. There's not much sort of very slow, syrupy ballad, which you'd think for an AOR kind of band would have a lot on here, but they don't. I'm not very familiar with the second album. I have heard it, but I can't remember offhand to tell you if there's ballads on there. But they don't really go into that realm so much for a band that is in the AOR stream, I guess. But so the best way I reckon is they're hard rock with prog and AOR parts to them. That's probably a good way. So yeah, Touch. The album is called Touch. Sort of got that classic early 80s, doesn't it? You know, there's a little bit of Autograph about that. There's a little bit of Zebra, a little bit of Jaguar about the cover. Yeah, just a little bit of all that. Yeah, and they're from New York. Well, they always were. I'm not sure if they're still based there or not. I will take this out. On the areola, that sort of classic grey, quite a thin record, but you know what I've noticed, and I remember Aaron the Metal Theologian said on one time, some of the thin albums, you know, they sound every bit as good as the, you know, the 180 gram thick ones. You know, I'm very proud of myself with this one. I looked after this. The next one I'm going to show, I don't know why, but the cover's not quite as great as it could be, but I've generally looked after my records even when I was a kid. I certainly didn't write on them. I was good enough to know never to write on the cover or things like that. I never did that. Some of the jackets, I remember when I was a kid, one of my mistakes I did make is I did used to quite often have my records lying flat and stacked. I didn't know that would cause ring wear, and later on when I was reading in a magazine like 15 or so years later, oh, don't store your records like that, put them up wrong. I didn't know as a kid. I just, you know, I always did that. But you know, you learn these things. But I generally, you'll see on the next one I'm going to show, the seams are a bit thin, but they're not really split. Well, the top seams come away, and it's just some of them are just old, and you know, maybe the jacket wasn't put together quite as well. So a little bit of a Megadeth kick, not much, just a bit. I watched there's a great series on YouTube called Gibson. I think it's done by the actual Gibson guitars, where they do this like an hour documentary on some of their more well-known people that use Gibson guitars. And this one was quite a recent one. It was Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. And what I like about it, and this series, is it's not an interviewer asking a question. It's basically just the person sitting in a chair doing a bit of a biography. And it's really good because it's not them waiting for a question or even like that. It's them just telling you about what they did and where they came from and what this, and parts through the history of the band they're in. So it's a bit of a Megadeth kick. I didn't go back and listen to all the other ones, but I'm going to go back and listen to some earlier ones that I haven't heard for a while. So I did So Far, So Good, So What? And this one also. I don't know why I hadn't listened to this for a while. This is the 2018 reissue of Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Brilliant album. Absolutely brilliant album. There is no doubt about it. I don't care what anyone says. I hear people say, oh yeah, but it's pretty rough and all. No, I don't think so, actually. I think this is exactly what you want. And I remember in 1985, this is exactly what I wanted. It was just brilliant. Nice and fast and meaty and heavy and good riffage. Mustaine showing he is every bit as good as any riffmaster that's ever been. Loved to death. Probably one of my favourite Megadeth songs of all time. Absolutely love to death. You could actually say that I love to death. Wow. Yeah, that's why I'm not a stand-up comedian, right? And The Skull Beneath the Skin, love. Rattlehead, another one of my all-time favourite Megadeth songs, and of course that's where the name for the mascot Vic Rattlehead came from. And then, of course, the famous, however you want to say, famous, infamous Mechanics song. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I do like Mechanics better than the Four Horsemen. I do. I really do. I like the speed of it a bit more. I like the sort of menace a bit more to it. And the fact that it's Dave's song and he's doing it, I don't know. That kind of makes more sense to me. So love this album. Yeah, this was a 2018 reissue, and it's called The Final Kill because I think this is the final sort of the remastering and so forth. And man, it is really good. If you've never had a chance to check this first Megadeth album out, I highly recommend it. Probably would sit... Yeah, when I did the Megadeth ranking video, I said that it would have been 6th, and I think that's about right. Let me think. Rust in Peace. Peace Sells. So Far, So Good, So What. Countdown. Dystopia. It would be 6th. It's probably a tie. Those Countdown to Extinction, Dystopia, and Killing Is My Business are probably about equal in that spot. So the top 3 are pretty set, but they would be, yeah, they'd jostle it out for 4th and 5th, and probably one would be unlucky missing out. So, and also what I've been listening to is a band called Liar that came from Maidenhead, England. Great name if you think about it, for a town for a hard rock heavy metal band should come from in England, Maidenhead. You kind of wondered if Iron Maiden ever thought to make that an official address, Maidenhead. But yeah, another band, as far as I know, they only ever had 2 albums. There was one that came out before this, which has got a rather dodgy cover. Sort of a weird cover. Can't even remember the name of it. And then there's, just pretty good sonically. And then there's this. Now this one I got probably about 2 or 3 years. No, longer than that. Because this is 1978. I reckon I may have got this in 1983 or 84. I was trying to think about this the other day when I got it. So I was still pretty young, but I got it on record. And you see here, down below, the seam is still pretty good, but it's just got a little bit of that thing where it starts to go. You know, as a kid, I try to look after my records as well, but you're a kid. This is one that's got a bit of ring wear. I wish I'd known about such things as ring wear back then, but, you know, I'm pretty careful with things now, but yeah. So yeah, Set the World on Fire is the name of this. Once again, another sort of hard rock, a little bit AOR-ish, probably a little bit lighter than the Touch band, but still fairly rocking enough. Maybe the guitars just aren't quite as pronounced, and then you don't have the drumming, the great sort of metallic type drumming that you have on the Touch, but it's still a very good album. Set the World on Fire, great song. I'm Calling, really good. What else? High Life is a fantastic song. Probably High Life or Who Cares are probably the 2 favourite on here. High Life is probably the most rockin' track on here, really catchy. And then Who Cares is more like a groovy, bluesier type of hard rock song. Yeah, really good. So there they are on the back. Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. No mustaches on the back here. We've had a not very good for mustaches today. I will take this out. I'll put it back in on camera because I'm very careful about that top split. Yeah. Trying to see what label it's on. Searsville, it looks like. I don't really know that label, but that's what the logo up the top says, Searsville. So there we go. Liar, Set the World on Fire. Yeah, just really good. This came out in 1978. It's their 2nd album. I think the first album was 1977. And then they, as far as I'm aware, they didn't do much after that. There's another band called Liar, which came out in the 80s, which is a bit more heavy metal, speed metal sound. And weirdly, I won't put that in now. Weirdly, the logo is quite similar, but a completely different band as far as I'm aware. I remember the one album that Liar had, the other Liar, was sort of like a browny, bronzy type of album, a bit more futuristic in its cover. I have seen it. I did see it quite a long time ago on CD in the wild, and I actually forgot where I saw it, so I couldn't go back and look where I saw it. So you never know, I might find it and see it somewhere, and if I do, I'll put it in a video. So yeah, Lyre, great. Another good hard rock, melodic hard rock sound. So as you can see today, quite a bit more melodic and not quite as heavy and brutal as I quite often listen to. And as I say, yes, I'm a metal guy and I love my heavy metal. It's my obsession. But, you know, I would say a good 35 to 40% of my collection is non-metal. And I listen to a lot of other stuff all the time. So, but look, thanks very much for watching. I think I've talked a fair bit, so I don't want to make this too long. But, you know, I just like talking to you guys and girls about music and sharing it all. So thanks for watching. Hope you really like it. And I'll catch you all soon.